how to deal with some of the foolishness and how one of the callers called in and said how to deal with watching this stuff on the news all the time, which you probably shouldn't be doing all the time, right?
Yeah.
But even if you're not watching it, you're still thinking about it, right? This is a very tumultuous time, right? And for 2 years now, almost, we've been talking about the three things that have really fanned the psychosis and the anxiety and the frustration and the anger. And I think we need to highlight it again because it was on full display yesterday. And those three things are greed, fear, and phobia.
Yes.
Those are the things that were out there in full force there. And then, I'm even going to go so far to say is it really wasn't a debate. We got to be careful how we, characterize things because, a debate typically is you have one candidate that presents facts, their vision of where they want the country to go based on reality and truth as best as possible. And then you have the other candidate that has facts and their view on where they would like to take the country and plans, not concepts, plans that are already established, right?
Right.
Well, that wasn't what we had yesterday. What we had really was a rally for ignorance and fear on one side, and we had an attempt at reality and reason on another side. Another side there. We have to figure out, exactly, what did we see yesterday? All right. Now, there were a lot of sound bites. There was a lot of things that we could take away. The main one, obviously, was about the Springfield pets are being eaten. And it was fact checked immediately. And, the memes are relentless on Trump for saying that. That was the takeaway, right?
Right.
That, cats and dogs are being eaten. And if you go on the internet, you'll see all of that. People are making jokes. And I think, what's his name? Roy Jones, one of the commentators for CNN, did a little skit, a joke about, do you really believe that and all that? But remember, there's a little sinister twist to making a joke like that. Because I believe he was talking about Haitian immigrants that were coming across the border. And if you could imagine, people are pretty, as Roy actually said, pretty sensitive about their pets. And people eating pets. What kind of people do that?
Yeah.
That's a demonization, again, of people. That's unfounded. Now, why is that dangerous? Well, you have to do a little reading and you have to compare and you have to look at history. Now, I'm going to take you to class a little bit. When Hitler came to power, he demonized people as a way to get the German population to vote for him. And obviously, we know who he demonized. The same tactic is being done when he does things like, say, the fabric of the country is being polluted, or these people are coming and they're eating pets. What type of people in your mind is he drawing? And how are people going to react to these folks? It's fear mongering. And that's what we had last night. A lot of fear mongering. I think the fact checkers have pretty much said that one side was pretty much almost completely, in la la land, and we know which side that was. I'm not even going to say the name. We already know what it is at this point. And if you don't know, if I tell you, you're not going to believe it anyway, because at this point you're already sold. You know what I mean? So I think we can take some things away in terms of reality and how to mentally process and deal with this. America got a good look at who Trump would be if he became president, because he got rattled. He took the bait, not once, not twice, not three, but every time he took the bait. But when he really lost it was when we talked, and when Kamala talked about the crowd sizes, right? Now, I think that's problematic for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can see the crowd sizes. I mean, like you can see them. And what she did that was devastating is she said, and I've never heard any, and maybe you can tell me if you've heard it before, I've never heard it in my life, where a candidate told another candidate's people, or the American people, to go and see for yourself. To go to one of his rallies and see that he talks about ridiculous things like Hannibal Lecter and all the other things. And then what he's not going to talk about is what most people came there for, is you. That was devastating. And then what triggered him is when he said, and then also people leave because they're bored.
Exactly.
So of course, that incited him. Now, as a president, you got to have some pretty thick skin. People aren't going to like you all the time as a president, and they're going to say nasty things. They're going to say mean things, be it valid or not. But if you watch that debate, I think you could see the anger that Trump had that never dissipated. He stayed mad from that point all the way for the rest of the debate. I think that was a warning. And I don't know if people, they've talked about it, but I don't think, if you really analyze that, look at that, what type of leader is going to be like that? Where you're going to have you have to have emotional control, emotional intelligence, especially when you have one of the largest nuclear arsenals in the world at your disposal. Now, that's the realities of what we're talking about. And it should make you think about why it's so important to vote. When you saw the debate last night end, you noticed the body language where Trump immediately left and Kamala immediately left. No shaking of the hands afterwards.
Yeah.
So I think we have to understand we've got some work to do, because at the end of the day, it's still two Americans that were on that stage. Did we forget that? Let's not forget that. And at the end of the day, there's still other countries that are watching the debates just like we were. Because if you notice, there was a comment by Putin after that debate, and he said he didn't like the debate because he didn't like how either one of the candidates depicted him. I don't know if people understand the significance of that, but we'll just let that sit for a minute. But you've got two folks that are going to be running for president. One, I think, ran a very powerful debate. One was more of the same. I think, and I'm just going to give my opinion. I think Kamala did an amazing job with how she presented herself and what she said. But I do think that it was very disturbing to see both of those candidates walk off the stage. I mean, my undergrad was political science. At the end of the day, you're supposed to always be civil. Remember, they shook hands before. I mean, Kamala had to kind of force them to shake hands. And then as they left separate. So here's what's going to happen, right? The American people are going to have to figure out how we have to get our politicians to understand that we're together. It's the United States of America.
Right.
I don't have to like what you believe. I don't have to believe what you believe. I don't have to do any of that. But our diversity is our strength, said, Lincoln. Now our diversity seems to be what's pulling us apart. We got to stop that.
Yes.
We got to stop that, because that's where I think we have to go after this election, and there will be an after the election. We have to make sure that we can mend the fabric of this country and the ideals that this country was founded on. And the only way to do that is to do that based on reality, clear minds, and the people that are true visionaries, not the delusional lunatics that want to go back to the old spirit of Mein Kampf and Hitler and dictatorship and all that. We already know where that's going. Look at history. I mean, it's not the first time a person has decided to be a dictator. It's happened probably a few thousand times throughout history. Some of them we know about because they made it far enough, and some of them we don't. But democracy is our unique experience, and it's fragile, and it has to be protected. And it's not for people that are motivated by greed, fear, and phobia. They don't get to own the vision. Their vision is too short-sighted. The bull coppers. They don't get to own the vision. They don't get to own the vision of democracy. Democracy does not fit in the mind of a limited person. It doesn't work. And the other thing about democracy, and this is why I want to give all of our listeners something to hold on to. Democracy will never allow a dictator. It will never allow it long term. Those two things don't match. It goes against the fabric of the whole institution. So the black job that Trump is applying for is president. And that job, democracy, means the people have the voice, not his delusional thought of what great was about America, or what great is about America, or what great is about who he is, or who he wants to run, or how powerful he thinks he is. Look, we can't live in a delusional mindset. I don't know where people think that's healthy. As a therapist, as a politician, as a grown man raising a child, you cannot live in a delusional world. There are things out here that are dangerous.
Very.
And you got to know where they're at. Now, if you're walking around not knowing what's going on, you're gonna bump into one of them one day. So, there's a lot that went on, man. And I've been watching the memes and all that, and it's funny. And I think people might think that things really shifted. And I think Kamala got a lot of attention. I think she did exactly what he did to Biden. I think Kamala did that to Trump last night.
Yeah.
But we still didn't win the election, though. So that's what people have to get in mind is, yes, Kamala, if who won the debate, obviously. Kamala not just won the debate, she won the presence. She earned the office. She showed that she can handle the pressure of somebody saying a racist comment, of challenging who she is racially and all that. She did a phenomenal job with that. But we still have to get out and vote.
Yes.
So me over here in Japan, my wife, this week, we got to hurry up and get our ballots in, what do you call it? The ballot.
Absentee ballot.
Absentee ballot. We've got to hurry up and get that in, and we will. It only takes a few minutes, and we got to go ahead and get that in and get that situated so that we can do it and get that going, because this is going to be even if it's not going to be close, we still need to be heard. You want to participate in this because this is history. And this all elections matter, but this one really does. This one really does. This is going to be based on our checks and balances. And I talked to, I talk quite a few people about politics. They call me, they know about the radio show. They, a lot of people listen. Some chime in, some don't, but they always talk to their friends and all that. And I said that to a few people that called me and said, this election is going to determine really kind of how we move forward because of the checks and balances. Right now, the checks and balances are not checking and balancing, right?
No.
The Supreme Court is not balanced the way it needs to be. The decisions that are coming out of the Supreme Court, they're not passing the law logic test. There's judges doing ridiculous things on important matters. Not that all matters aren't important that face a judge, but when you have a case like top secret information, and the Judge Cannon decides that that's not relevant or not important enough to move forward for prosecution. I mean, that kind of messes with the checks and balances, justice and the judicial system, equality. Things just aren't checking and balancing right now. So it's important because a lot of these people got in office because Trump was president. The Supreme Court justices got in office because they were appointed by Trump. That's one of the things he was highly successful at, putting judges in place that he thought were going to be loyal to him.
And so far, some of them have been.
And so to some degree, he's been successful.
Yes.
So as ridiculous and bombastic and foolish as you think some of the things he says is, you have to watch the technique and what he's doing. And you have to get out and vote. Because wherever that ship is going, I don't think the best of us want to go.
Yeah.
And I'm just being real. The best of us don't want to go there. And here's the other thing. Ron, I'm about to go on this trip, just pretend you're over here in Japan right now. Okay.
Okay.
You see this ocean out here, right? Right.
Yeah.
You see it's kind of choppy. I don't know if you can see the waves. The waves are pretty choppy out here. Now, I got us a boat, Ron. I have a concept on how to drive it. I don't really know how to drive it, but I have a concept. Now I'm going to take us out about 5 miles out here in this East China Sea, and it's the ocean. This isn't like a little lake that we could possibly, make a left or right and hit some land. If we go too far out, we're going to be out in the middle of the ocean, right? But I got a concept. I got a concept on how we can make it. Are you getting that boat with me?
Oh, heck no.
Then I think I made my point.
I mean, okay? I'm going to take the key from you.
Right.
You're not going either.
You said, hey, Tiff over here laughing. That's the type of friend family we got. He better take the key from me if I say some stupid, crazy stuff like that. And I know Glenn would love that example because he's talking about the sea and the Navy. See what Glenn would say. I'd be right there holding him down, so you can take the key. That's what he would probably say. I'm gonna go ahead and give him his points. But
yeah,
that's what we kind of dealing with right now. When he said I had some concepts, and then I thought, okay, this is a pretty interesting thing to say since you were president, and that's what you actually ran on, that you were going to defeat or change Obamacare, and all you have right now are concepts. You don't even have a plan. You ran on that, and you get asked about it, and he said, well, I'm not president now, so all I have are concepts.
This is what I don't get. The time he was president, they had the House and the Senate, and nothing got done. The point I'm making on this, they talk about the border, they talk about all this. They had 4 years to put everything into place. But those 3 words come up that you always say: greed, phobia, and fear.
Fear and phobia. That's right. Yeah. You can interchange them any way you want.
Okay, I just trying to remember. But the deal is, they were so greedy on how to get money. Every sound bite that they did back then, they made money off of it.
Well, can I go back? I want you to stay there for a second, because those bites that he made. Remember, we shouldn't even be talking about the border right now. Remember, he ran on that too. And what was supposed to happen?
It wasn't
If the
built.
border, say again,
It wasn't built. The
who
wall.
was who was supposed to? Because he's such a great negotiator. Who was supposed to fix the border? Who was supposed to fix and build the wall
And pay for it.
and pay for it? Who was supposed to do that?
Mexico.
Mexico was, and they, what did they do? They basically laughed in his face. But now, because of his failure, I mean, because that's what he ran on, he was supposed to fix that. He's trying to point at Kamala and call her, or Kamala, and call her a failure, when it's actually his role that failed. Mexico didn't build the wall. That's what you said. You're the great negotiator, man. That's what you sold everybody. But you didn't. And you're trying to sell everybody again and again and again. It's just like a washed up, salesman selling some old, parts or whatever, just trying to, fool you into buying this crap. It's crap.
Yeah.
And he's passionate about it. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Look, you didn't do it last time. You're not going to do it this time. And whoever is voting for you, I'm just going to say it, man. The lights are not on. The lights are not on. And it's not because you're voting for policy or the fact that he's competent and all that, because there's some things that happen under Trump that make people think, okay, well, maybe there were some things that were going on. But don't forget, who was president before Trump? Obama. A lot of the things that Trump took credit for weren't even a lot of things that he didn't do. He took a lot of credit for things that he did, like that check that everybody got that said, Donald Trump. That was because of a Democratic Senate and Congress.
But the catch on that, I'm glad you said that about the check. A lot of people are saying that, well, he did good. He gave us a check. He wanted his name on that check.
That's the point. He didn't give the check.
I know. He wanted his name on that check. He wanted it on there so people could see. And that's what he did. Psyched him out that I gave you this money. No. Any other stimulus check didn't come with the president's name signature on it.
Look, like I said, I don't know. Part of my upbringing was that I came up in an inner city environment, and I know a hustler when I see one. And I don't know, I wouldn't buy an electronic device from them. You get that thing home and plug it in, it might blow up your TV.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So and Kamala got him good. She said he inherited 400 million and went bankrupt 36 times. I was like, oh, something like that, and that's what his legacy is. And why people keep falling for it, I don't know. It is not for me to say, but I have a feeling that he's tapped into something that other leaders that ended up being dictators and some that did some horrific things have tapped into. They tap into the frustration. They tap into the easy answer. Instead of looking at the hard thing to do to make something better, they want to look at a scapegoat and blame somebody else. They want to blame the people coming over from Mexico. They want to blame people coming over from Haiti. They want to blame this, that, or the other thing. But last time I checked, the 45 active shooters, they were American.
Yeah. Yes, they were. Did
anybody notice that after last week, we had two horrific, disgusting, and tragic active shooter events?
Yeah, we did.
He still stood on that stage, disconnected from the pulse of the American people, and said, she wants to take your guns away. That's what he said. I mean, don't look at mental health professionals to solve the problems if you want to stay crazy. If you want to stay crazy, guess what? You're going to be that. Don't blame it on us, because each time there are signs that mental health professionals do their job, but the American people have to do ours. And we have to remove the weapons from the people that should not have them.
Yep.
It's a real simple concept. People say, oh, it's the video games. Okay, well, I'm in Okinawa, Japan right now. They have Call of Duty tournaments all the time. You know what they don't have? Active shooter situations. Why is that, Mr. Lee? Because they don't have ARs floating around out here. So don't tell me it can't be done. It's being done right now. It's being done right now outside this window in this beautiful landscape out here. They're not worried about no active shooter situations. They might be worried about a typhoon or something that's coming at some point, but they're not even really worried about that, because they built these houses to last, and they know how to deal with the situations in the climate and environment. And that's what we got to learn how to do. If our schools aren't safe because of anything, I can't believe I got to say this, but I'm going to say it. If our schools, where our most precious resource are not safe, then it has to change. And I don't care what it is.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. Here in San Antonio, in the past week, 12-year-olds was arrested for plotting to shoot up schools. 5 so far in the state of Texas have they spoiled the plot. Has been arrested for threatening shooting up schools. Why is a 12-year-old thinking like this? Why does a 12-year-old have access to a gun?
Well, let me answer the first part of the question. Why is a 12-year-old thinking about this? Because because as he began to got consciousness of what school is about, school shootings have been a part of it. He's been doing the school shooting drills since he's first got to school. He's been seeing on the news or hearing his parents or friends talk about the school shooters. We've talked about on this show, unfortunately, multiple times when I went and supported the Uvalde community and all that, how they actually have a culture now that embrace Columbine. The active shooters are now emulating, things that happen in Columbine, the music, some of the people there, some of the shooters. So it's become literally a culture of killers. And we're still talking about taking guns away, the fear. So when we talk about this show, one of the things that have crystallized in my mind is, we can talk about anxiety, we can talk about depression, we can talk about a lot of things, but if we don't talk about the delusional thought process of our mindset and how we process and think and move, I rather deal with the big fish first.
Yeah. So
if people want to talk about those things, we can, but
yeah,
we got to deal with the delusional mindset. And the only way to deal with delusional mindset is you put the facts out there, the information out there, and eventually it starts resonating. It starts, maybe I was tripping. Maybe this doesn't make any sense.
Well, that one of the kids went to court today. His lawyer saying he's never been in trouble. He should be released to his parents' custody. And, he did all that. Then somebody read what he posted in Facebook and just said, oh, no, you're not getting out. You're staying right here until the next hearings later on this month. So he's been planning stuff like this for a while, but now they're starting to find all this stuff. And see, and answer this question for you, Joseph. Why is the need for them to sit down there and plot out everything they want to do on Facebook?
Well, because they want attention. That's the main thing. They want attention. You got to look at it. We talked about this on the show too, but I'm gonna bring it up again. You got to look at what happened when social media hit the scene. Suicidal ideation went up, active shooter situations went up exponentially. Why is that? People are crying out on these social media sites. They're trying to get attention for what they're trying to do. And the triple whammy is they're losing their social skills because they're communicating only on these social media sites and the video games and all the other type of stuff. They're not getting out into, and communicating and doing the things we used to do. FaceTime. We used to play our video games when we were younger, but we would get out and, play sports and
Right.
do stuff out in the community. Well, a lot of that's not happening as much. So they basically, if they're not fitting in, they're going to become this, this threat or this image or whatever online and act things out, which is horrific.
Yeah.
How it's played out, but it's attention seeking. And, so the answer to that, and here's a middle house point. It's something that parents can take away. Get in your children's business. Find out what they're doing on that device that you probably should not have bought them. Talk to them. Yeah, they probably don't want to talk to you. You think they don't want to talk to you, but they do. They want the attention, and if you don't give it to them, they're going to get it elsewhere.
Exactly.
And this is the attention. When you see these kids, look at them. They're kids. They're kids out here, and they're not getting validation from school. They're not getting validation from home, so they're acting out because they want somebody to look at me. Look at what I've gone through. Look what you made me do. You're not listening to me. So I've got to grab a gun and do something stupid because you're not listening to me. And I'm hurting. It hurt. My feelings are hurt. And I don't know how to articulate it, because I've put it on social media. I've talked to my friends about it. Nothing. So, okay, I guess I'm supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll look then. And they were like, "Oh my God, it happened again." Well, yeah.
And speaking about that, it happened again, and they're the way they are. We talked about this already. We need to find out what we're going to do on November 6th, because that's when the outcry going to come. That's when people are going to go off. The lone wolves are going to show up. It's going to be. I'm not going to say it's going to be tragedy, but it will be some in some parts of the country. That's just a gimme right there. The way January 6th go, now they will not storm the Capitol again, but they may storm the state capitol or somewhere around a town. Something's going to happen. The powder keg is lit, and it's ready to explode.
Lit. Yeah, the powder keg is lit. People are frustrated on both sides of it, and I think that you got to understand something. I don't think January 6th is going to happen like it did last time. Yeah, I just don't. So if people are crazy enough to get out there and follow Trump and this cry for a civil war, whatever he's trying to put out there, I think it's not going to be good, because people are tired of him, man. I mean, just as many people, I guess for whatever reason, are following him. He's got just as many people that don't want to hear it, and you've got a lot of people that are pissed off about what happened on January 6th and aren't buying the lines and the things that he's saying about not revving those people up. And again, remember, the guy that there's one of the shooters is just out here randomly shooting at vehicles, right?
Yeah.
And what was Trump's response? They're trying to take guns away. It's obvious we need to take guns away. But being a disconnected leader, you don't have your finger on the pulse ever for what the people need. you only have your finger on the pulse of what your agenda is. And that's a very dangerous leader. And what generally happens in those situations in politics, when you have a leader like that, that people eventually have to overthrow that leader so they can be heard. Just like a kid that's not being listened to. What do you think happens? That people get so tired of not being listened to. So, and you got to understand something. The world leaders that have made it for a long time in those situations, they're laughing at Trump. Putin is laughing at Trump. Kim Jong-il, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if he's laughing or he's pissed or whatever. I don't know what he is, but I'm sure he's not afraid. He even said as such. He doesn't care. But when he said Kim Jong-il said something about, Kim Jong-il loves me or something like that, he said, I don't care about him. He said it to his face. Do you really think China? I can't even be able to say this. Do you really think China has any respect for Trump? China? I think they said in 2045, they want to take over the presence of the United States, militarily and everything else. And they're working diligently to do it.
Yep.
So we don't have time for the sideshow clown. We just don't. We don't. Let him go off to Bozo Land or wherever, whatever show, I ain't trying to be funny and no respect to disrespect to Biden, but they can go and play Battleship. Go get your Jello, both Biden and Trump, go and battle it out on Battleship. Go ahead. And let the real folks that know what they're doing take over, That's what I say. Now, and yes, I got to put some comedy in the situation because
but you hurt my feelings when you say go get some. When you hurt my feelings, say go get some Jello because I like Jello.
Well, hey, you are older than me, and Glenn,
don't start. Don't you start.
Hey, look, you can take them their Jello,
I have nothing against it.
To be honest with you, I like Jello too, but I don't eat it that much. So.
Yeah, but let's. I'm gonna switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk home here in San Antonio. Like you get different lifestyle over there where you're at than compared over here. I was talking to a lot of good people, and we were bringing up about the local elections around here and how important it is. And we found out that a lot of people will not vote for a local election, off-year election. Everybody vote right now because this is the big election. But in Texas, we always have these off-year elections. And if you got 750,000 people, let's say, in one district, and that person runs for office, he wins with a total of 1,500 votes. There's a problem. We got to reach these voters, let them know what's going on, because no way nobody should be elected in office when you got 75,000 people in that district and you win with just 1,500 votes, not 15,000. And there's a problem with that. So we were talking, how can we get out there and start educating them? And of course, my thought was we need to bring the village back, because when the village was here, we will have conversations with the candidate running. We will meet at the community center. We will talk to each other. We will get together as neighbors and talk to each other. That's not there anymore. They're too busy using this device right here to get everything they need to know about it, even though if it's true or not. So we were discussing how can we do that. And
you got to look at historically how it used to be.
Yeah.
How do we get all of our information on our candidates? They used to come by the churches. And the churches were our community spots where we would, talk about politics and socialize and network and all that. So the key part of the village was the church. So I'm not saying that the church has to assume that mantle again, but I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'd say you have to be careful with that because I know we having a problem with white nationalist churches, in politics, and a lot of politicians are seeing the detriment of being connected with some of those. But for the Black community, the church has always been a center for political education, coming together. In the San Antonio history in particular, I forget the gentleman's name that was very much involved with politics and was a business owner, and he would get people out to vote, get them help encourage them to get registered there in San Antonio, and he would have a powerful influence. He had a very powerful influence on the legislative slates and options and things that went on there. But we have to first mend the relationship piece and kind of get out again and start talking more amongst each other. And you're doing that with the Texas, the Texas Black, what's it called? Black in Texas?
Texas in Color.
Texas in Color.
Yeah.
I made it black, but Texas in Color. You getting it out there. That's the type of stuff I think we need to continue to do, like we're doing on this show. I hear people talk about, man, I didn't know, that you guys, Black folks, you guys talk about politics and stuff like that. Have you been to a barbershop?
Yeah.
Have you been to a church, function? Have you heard the deacons talk? But the younger generation, instead of talking about Nicki Minaj and Sexy Red and the foolishness, drill rap and all this other foolishness, we need to put more substance on the table than this nonsense. Because I hate it. I hate that we're losing our young folk to foolishness. You just lost, this, what's his name? Quan, doggone it. Rich boy Quan, what's his name? Rich homie Quan. Very talented young man. Unfortunately, they saying it's drug overdose. Some people saying other things, but this thing called drill music. You might want to take a look at that. They are dying right and left. Fulio, the kid Fulio, getting killed, and the names just go on and on and on. Why aren't we talking about how we can build communities? Now we got the next saga is, Lil Wayne wasn't allowed to be in the Super Bowl. Now that's going to be a big mess. That's now starting to spiral, saying, and people threaten that Kendrick Lamar better not come to, Louisiana. So now you got, stop it.
Yeah.
We got all this foolishness going on. What about the kid mortality rate? How about these, talking about the kids' graduation rates, all the things that matter, the community health issues, mental health issues, depression, anxiety, all these things that we need to talk about, but we're talking about foolishness because we've taken our eye off of each other and we've been looking at what is important here. How often do you scroll and you just scroll and looking at what somebody else is putting in front of you that's trying to get likes or get, views instead of looking at the substance of what we're supposed to do. Don't look at the views, start looking for what we're supposed to do. And I'm going to tell you this, if you're not volunteering for something in the community that's affecting a community of kids of color, then you are not doing your responsibility. And I don't care who it is. Because somebody sacrificed for you to get that job, to get that opportunity. And if you're not investing back into the kids, into the community, and whatever form that you're doing it, you need to check yourself. Because that's part of the problem. I just had a young man that I got to write a letter of recommendation for. And he was like, I'm in a mentorship program. I'm a mentor, been an advisor for over 8 years in the Kappa League. And I have these young kids watch the news on the local, national, and international level. And they have to be able to speak up on all three levels when they come to that meeting. And they couldn't stand it at first. Oh, why I have to watch the news and all that? Now, I just had a young man about to graduate from Morehouse College tell me, if I hadn't done that, I would have been in trouble. Because in college, guess what I had to write about? International, and national affairs.
Yep.
So you gotta instill into these kids what's important. Talk about more than what Kendrick Lamar and Drake is doing. Who cares? If
Yeah.
you're gonna be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's entertainment, so it has its place. Small. What does have its place is what are we doing for these kids to make their foundation stronger and their opportunities better than it was for us. And there are some opportunity there with education, but we need to be real with communicating with and talking to them. And with that being said, I'm gonna have to go a little earlier today. I have a appointment at at 11 o'clock. But I'm gonna tell you, man, it's 10:50, so I got to be on my P's and Q's a little bit today.
Look
I
at you.
had to get in to talk about that election and the mindset and the delusional and reality and the greed, fear, and phobia, because it was on full effect yesterday. Greed, fear, and phobia. The spokesman was out there in full effect. You saw it. So you don't have to put your dogs up, your pets, they're safe. Springfield, I think you're good. I think that we do have to start, basing our views on reality and understand that instead of worrying about the pets being eaten, we need to worry about our future and our community being eaten by some real threats outside of the United States, like China, North Korea, Iran. That's who we need to be paying attention to, not this and the kids that are homegrown that have access to ARs. That's who we need. That's our real enemies that we were talking about now. Yes, we got some problems at the border. I even saw a tiger or something. I said, what is going on in Mexico where they're letting tigers across the, just stop. But so we do have some issues. I'm not saying we don't, but don't shift it to Kamala and Biden. This man said he was going to have the Mexican president build a wall. That's what he said.
Yep.
So stop shifting the blame. Stop. This is and from what I remember, he actually stopped some money going down to the border because it was an election year and he didn't want to make it seem like work was being done. So he have a talking point. Didn't that come up in the election?
Yeah, it did.
So there you go. Yeah. So with that being said,
all right, sir.
We got to keep it moving. I got to get ready to run, but we're gonna end it on reality. Remember, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying. But actions are also based on reality, not illusion.
All right, my brother. We appreciate it. You take care, and we'll talk to you later.
Later.
All right, later. All right, that was Joseph Lee right there. Impact Hour. He's on here every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, he's here talking to us. So, everybody, we appreciate everybody tuning in today. We see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning, straight up at 7 a.m. Peace and chicken grease. This is DJ Ron G on WSAN Radio. I'm out.